Hi everyone, this is Adam from Recreation Services, and today I want to talk a little bit about fueling for weight loss. If weight loss is one of your goals, the most common approach is to look for a calorie deficit, do the simple math of output over input, so trying to burn more energy than you're taking in for food. But there's a little bit more to that. So what you eat is just as important as how much you eat. I'm going to talk a little bit more today about the importance of carbohydrates and protein and fat and vitamins and minerals and things like that. So you still need enough vitamins and minerals to optimize your body's health and performance. So a clean diet with a variety of foods will give you enough of all the different vitamins and minerals that your body needs to function properly. Carbs become your energy source for brain function as well as higher intensity exercise. So even if you're doing, say, a lower carb diet, you do still need carbs to fuel you for certain exercise as well as just brain function. So whether at work or at school, to keep your mind alert so you're thinking properly, do better on exams and be more productive at work and things like that. So you do still need carbs even if you're trying to, cut back some of the bad stuff. Protein, really important for muscle building. So to build or maintain your muscle mass, you're looking at 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So you really want to make sure you're getting enough protein to sustain your muscles and build if that's your goal as well. And fats taken in your diet help absorb some of those vitamins and minerals and also are an energy source when you're doing that lower intensity activity. So if you're exercising as well as, counting calories and focusing on this calorie deficit, when you eat is also important. So you need to consider fueling up for exercise. So a lot of times we see people in the gym who are maybe not fueled properly for their exercise. This ends up leading to a decrease in exercise performance, so you just don't have the energy to work as hard. It can lead to dizziness and nausea if you're not nourished enough. So generally, if you're eating throughout the day and you have like a shorter workout, maybe less than an hour, you probably don't need to do any extra fueling. So the food you've eaten through the day, if you're eating throughout, should be enough for a workout. But if you are doing a longer workout, you do want to make sure you have some extra intake 1 to 3 hours before a big workout. So even if you are in a caloric deficit throughout the day, you do still need to consider when you take in food to fuel you for your workouts, to boost your performance in your workouts, but also aid in your recovery afterwards. So one approach a lot of people take, especially if you're doing things like intermittent fasting, you'll have periods of time where you haven't eaten. There's a lot of people who prefer to do fasted exercise. So I want to talk a little bit about the effects of fasted exercise and some of the pros and cons of that approach. In the end, it is kind of a personal preference. For example, some people just feel better if they have an empty stomach. You feel like, you're lighter and you don't have any kind of stomach issues. So some people just feel better. Some of the pros or the reasons that people incorporate fasted exercise, whether it's aerobic or resistance training, is that you will have less carbohydrate stores. So your body will use carbohydrates less in your workout. So you'll use more fat during exercise. This is especially handy in aerobic exercise, so you'll use more fat during your aerobic exercise. This is also true for strength training, although strength training is sometimes a little more intense, so you'll probably want carbs a little more there. I find that's a little harder to do on an empty stomach personally, so you might feel a little more low energy if you're coming into a workout fasted. However, on the other side, if you do eat carbohydrate before a workout, well, you might not burn as much fat during your workout. It does increase your fat metabolism through the rest of the day. So they call that the afterburn. When you continue to burn calories through the day, you'll burn more fat the rest of the day than you will if you come into it fasted. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. It kind of depends on your workouts, but so something to consider. You might be better off just fueling for it anyway and burning more the rest of the day. The other downside when it comes to fasted exercise, especially resistance training, is the potential loss of muscle mass. So when you are fasted for a long period of time, your body starts to produce more cortisol, which can then lead to a loss of muscle mass. So something to consider when you're thinking about fasted exercise and how long it's been and what some of the drawbacks might be. So we've talked a little bit about caloric deficit and timing of food. So some of the things you might also want to incorporate when you're trying to fuel for exercise and fuel for weight loss is the types of food you're taking in that help you feel sustained or will help sustain you through the day, help you maintain a feeling of fullness. So you'll find that high caloric foods that are low in nutrients tend to stimulate that kind of reward response in the brain, which leads to generally more snacking. So it kind of creates this bad cycle of just wanting more, even though you know you don't really need more, but you get that reward stimulus and it makes you want more. Bad foods like that just tend to build on each other and you end up eating more than you probably need to or want to. Ideally, you want to focus on foods that make you feel full, that kind of level out your blood sugar. So you want lower glycemic index foods that will stop your blood sugar from spiking and crashing, which will lead to snacking more often throughout the day. Foods high in fiber also help you feel full a little longer, and also foods high in protein and fats also help kind of keep you more full. So there's some studies that show even just having an egg with breakfast helps kind of keep you more full and leads to less snacking through the day. So I want to cover a few more foods that might help through the day, either giving you carbohydrates that you can use for exercise, but also maybe keep you full so you don't feel like snacking off and on throughout the day as much. The first one I want to talk about is berries. Berries are high in antioxidants, also fairly low calorie, so you can eat a bunch of them, but give you some carbohydrates for exercise. And they're simple carbohydrates, so easy to break down. Another one to think about is mushrooms. So mushrooms are very low calorie because they're a vegetable, also high in vitamin D, which is really good in the wintertime, especially when we're not getting very much sunlight. Mushrooms can also satisfy your savory kind of meat cravings, obviously without the calories, and can be used as a meat substitute in a lot of different foods. So mushrooms are a good option, especially over the wintertime when we're not getting the vitamin D that we normally get. Another good one to consider incorporating into your diet is Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt high in calcium, vitamin D, and protein, so to help keep you full, but also very good for kind of a pre-workout or post-workout to include in a snack. I'd mentioned eggs a little earlier, so eggs contain 13 essential nutrients, high in protein to help keep you full. Also contain leucine, which is very important for muscle growth, so really good to help give you the protein and leucine to help with maintaining and building muscle mass. Another food I want to talk about is almonds. So almonds, like other nuts, get a little bit of a bad rap because they're a little caloric, but they are high in protein and unsaturated fats, so that'll help keep you full. But a little thing about almonds in particular is that they found that, well, almonds are fairly caloric because they are a nut. You also don't absorb all of those calories, so they're not quite as bad as it might say on the container. So almonds still a really good option to give you some protein and unsaturated fats, and not quite as caloric as it might seem. And the last food I want to mention is whole wheat bread. A lot of people shy away from bread when they're trying to cut down calories because they think of it as a very caloric food. However, whole wheat bread has more protein and fiber than white bread, so it'll keep you full longer, but it does still contain some carbohydrates, so it can be good fuel for your workout, but a lower glycemic index, so it won't spike and crash your blood sugar the same way that like a white bread would. So I hope that helps. I hope you can kind of consider still fueling for your workout, even if you are trying to watch what you eat and focus on that caloric intake. It's still very important to fuel for exercise. Hopefully this kind of gives you some guidance, and good luck.